There we go. So, last minute, because The Irishman is too daunting of a movie to watch for some. It takes a while. So, our Oscar nomination Best Picture predictions and other nomination predictions on the periphery is going to come up on the day of the Oscars, apparently.
A quick little watch it while you're watching the red carpet.
Yeah, if you're so inclined to hear what we have to say. But really it's just more of an appreciation thing. It feels like we watched all the Best Picture nominations, which is kind of a fun thing to do. It feels nice to be up to date with all that stuff. We did our homework, I guess, and now we want to prove that we did it to ourselves, our future selves. It's also helpful to keep a record of like what we liked, what we didn't like. Did any of our opinions change? Like we look back on this like 10 years from now when we're doing, or 18 years from now will be the 100th Oscar, the Centennial Oscar.
18 years.
Yeah, because it's the 82nd Oscars, I believe.
Goodness gracious.
So yeah, 18 years will be the Centennial Oscars, and yeah, it'll be cool to...
We'll be in our 30s.
Yeah, to hear what we thought when we were wee babies.
We were a teen and a pre-adult.
I guess I'm 5 years away from...
adulthood. We are 2 years away from adulthood.
5 years from the insurance thing.
There we go.
And the Francis Ha thing.
27.
What's at the bottom of for the Best Picture nominations?
My bottom.
The Best Picture nominations, which are Ford vs. Ferrari, 1917, Marriage Story, Irishman, Little Women, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite, Joker, and Jojo Rabbit, I think is all of them.
Yes. So my bottom is Ford vs. Ferrari.
Why?
Forgot about it while making the list. Very fitting for its placement in it.
I feel like we keep forgetting about it.
We do continuously forget about it. Best thing about it was Christian Bale, and we understand that he's great.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's a solid movie. I like the Tracy Letts scene when Matt Damon's driving Ford around, right? And he's just like panicking or whatever.
I love Tracy Letts.
I think that movie to me proved that Christian Bale is one of our most entertaining actors, not just most skilled, but like he puts on a show. He really puts on a show in that one. And I think this movie showed me that Christian Bale could not only did he pretty successfully play Batman, but he probably could have pulled off playing Joker. Which he kind of did in American Psycho in a way. Yep. He just played someone sad.
So what's your bottom?
Jojo Rabbit.
And that's my 9th. Or 8th. There's only 9 nominations.
Yeah.
Why is it your bottom?
Ford's my 8th, so we just flipped those two.
Yeah.
I think Jojo is more forgettable than Ford, because it's not as entertaining as Ford, and it says just about as much as Ford does. For a movie that's trying to say a lot, it delivers very little.
That's true. But I would never go to a friend's house and pull out Ford versus Ferrari to watch. And this is where we differ. And this is where one of us has friends.
Ford is such a cool movie to watch with friends. It's like race scenes.
It's really cool.
And it's exhilarating.
But it's not immediately accessible to everybody.
And there's competition.
And I feel like those last 2 movies are kind of just the gimmies, the throwaways.
Christian Bale's way better than Taika in that movie. Funnier.
Yeah.
Probably.
Of course.
Taika's been funnier in his interviews. His interviews tell me more on the movie than the movie itself, which I think is why there will be some problems, because Jojo, even though it's the bottom of our Best Picture list, might end up taking away adapted screenplay.
If that happens.
It seems it's leading the way.
Goodbye.
And I get it. It's because he's very enigmatic, and he seems like he would write a good movie because he has written good movies. And it's a touchy subject, so that could also be like, oh, you tackled this, that's interesting, you didn't offend people. But that's a problem. He didn't... I don't know. It's just... Yeah.
It's just clean, safe Disney.
It's very much a... Yeah, it's a Disney movie. And it ends with heroes, which is hack. What's your number...
Hashtag.
What's your number... 7?
7 is 1917.
Okay. Why?
Didn't take anything away from it. Doesn't have an impact on me today. literally just had a conversation about it with a friend. It took 30 seconds, and we immediately started talking about Booksmart, which isn't on there. It's just, I understand that it's a great movie, and it's the level of skill that was put into it is insane, and the acting is great. But compared to the rest, it gave me less of an emotional reaction or personal reaction and all that. I guess. Yeah.
My number 7 is Joker.
Yes.
Just because it's very, I get the same reaction to that I got from, I mean, on my initial watch, I liked it, but I knew there was stuff I didn't like, and the stuff I didn't like just keeps gnawing at my head. And I think Todd Phillips almost invades Joaquin's performance with that needle drop of whatever that fucking song is when he's dancing on the staircase.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That shouldn't be there, and it hurts that scene because you compare that scene to, I think Joker should win for best score. I've been like fighting between that one and Little Woman's score. And I think Hilder's score is like the cello. She's just a weird cellist or whatever.
Yeah.
But like the way her music melds with his
Joaquin's
dance
acting
in that bathroom scene, I think is the most perfect. Like it's like actor and score just working together.
I think she very much wrote it to him, to his performance rather than to the movie. Really?
He performed to her.
Ah.
She wrote the music before. Todd had it playing over and over again in the scene, which is probably the best thing he did. But and he heard the score and he danced to that score.
That's brilliant.
So it's like it's the flip, which is even more more impressive. It's even more impressive on Joaquin to do that, to like adjust and improvise his performance to that music.
That is actually quite brilliant. I adore that. Little Woman, the score is written to the movie. Flows well. It's great. Love it. Of course, it's going to be great. It's him, but I understand what you're saying.
The best parts of Joker are when it's
the score.
When it's playing to the score.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the best part of Joker is that bathroom scene after he does his first killing. I think Joaquin will win. I don't think it was the best performance of the year though. Yeah. My number 6 was your number 7.
Yeah.
Was your number?
My number 6 is Joker.
Okay.
Your number 7. I mean, 6 is 1917.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got more out of 1917 than Joker. I guess the last killing scene. I mean, Joker. There's a part that still gets me, which is the idea that what if Batman's origin story is Joker's creation. But I think 1917 it's the. There's just some shots that just fucking knock me out.
I keep envisioning the scene where he wakes up and it's just like hell.
Yeah. And that church thing, that the French lady at the bottom, I got a lot out of that. Some people didn't like that, but I like that idea of this like oasis in this hellhole, and these people like having to helping this baby that isn't theirs. Him just unpacking his food that you forget was even in his backpack the whole time, and his friend kept telling him and the way his friend's the face just drains.
The humanity in it.
Yeah, and I felt very. It's the first guy war movie that mixed stuff from Apocalypse Now and had all that cynical stuff in it too, but also had like this like tinge of hope that Wonder Woman has. So I thought it was a good mixture of both, where the Joker is just pure cynicism and it's pure fuck all this energy, which is, I think it makes it a weaker movie, where people see that type of attitude against the world, like everything's against me. So if everything's against me, I'm just going to destroy it and make a mob. People see that as strength, but I don't think that's powerful. I think what's powerful is doing your job
and still having humanity in yourself.
Yeah.
It's the most medium movie.
It's the most what?
Medium movie.
Well, it's almost like it's giving us like a Hayao Miyazaki, like Spirited Away type message in a war movie, which is tough to do.
It is.
It's tough to like be meditative, throughout all this fucking chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to, like, when he meets his friend's brother, and just like, I did this, and he's appreciative,
Mm-hmm.
and all these generals, they don't care anything really, but this person, I gave them closure.
It's
I'm gonna go
just
sit
one
on this
person.
tree, and it's just, I did my job. I was a cog in the machine,
Yep.
and sometimes that's fine, which is like I think a spirited way. It's telling you, like, it's okay to be a cog in the machine because it can pay off.
At least for you, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think they're both about as impactful. But I think it's just neither message is very unique.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the message in 1917 is more useful.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our bottom 4.
Yep.
Now we're in our top 5 of this top 9.
Yep.
What's your number 5?
Number 5 is Marriage Story.
That's my 5 too.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Great performance from Adam. Scarlett was lacking. Scarlett, by the way, in JoJo, fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I loved her. That is genuinely why it's not last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I forget. Yeah.
Yeah, like she really. When I was thinking about it while making it, all I could think about is Scarlett and her shoes.
Mm-hmm.
While making the list, and I felt so bad putting Ford above that. And I was
So
like,
here's the thing,
screw you.
like, at least Ford has Matt Damon supporting that Bale role.
Mm-hmm.
JoJo has this kid who's doing his best supporting that ScarJo role, and she's putting all this work into making you fucking cry your eyes out when she dies.
And he
but the kid isn't a good
deliver.
cipher for you to actually feel that emotion.
Yeah.
And him coming across her shoes from the gallows, you don't feel that as much.
I would have loved it if I would have loved it if they didn't have him. They only had him hug her legs, and then sit and walk, like the shot where he's just sitting and looking at her, and then after
That's
that,
great.
Yeah.
He gets too close.
Yeah.
The camera's too close for a kid to pull that off.
he can't pull it off.
We need some distance, and just like, and that's the weird thing about some of these movies, the best movies this year, the best shots weren't close-ups or anything. It was a lot of just like far away.
My favorite shot we'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of yeah. And at this scene, he gets too close, he wants the emotion too much.
I want, like Antonio Banderas says in Pain and Glory, actors want to cry too much. I just want a distance shot, and I want to feel the emotion and feel the personal. I want to feel like I'm connected to these people even though I'm 100 feet away.
Yeah. See, the movie, Scarlett was delivering a performance where she was holding her tears back in a movie that was desperate
4 tears.
to make you cry, and thought that by crying it would make you cry. But being close up on that kid crying I didn't feel it. It didn't punch me. So just a little distance from him, and just an image like far away of the gallows, and I know they didn't want to show like ScarJo's like face or anything, but make it far enough where it's just like, oh yeah, that would have been that's great. Yeah.
Anyway, so number 5, Marriage Story.
ScarJo's performance in JoJo is better than the one in Marriage Story.
Yeah. I don't think ScarJo deserves that Marriage Story nomination. But I don't know who
I can't say. I have to watch it again to really solidify that. She's the reason why I need to watch it again.
I do genuinely love her. I just thought when an actress is nominated for 2 things, and I'm able to see both of them, and I see how great she is in JoJo, it makes me look at her differently when reflecting on Marriage Story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we talked about that, like, the idea of ScarJo, like, her roles in movies. If she's the best part of your movie, then your movie can't be that great.
Yeah. She's
so
the
JoJo
best
being the
supporting.
best part, Joe being the best part of JoJo, but she's not the best part of Marriage Story. So Marriage Story is a better picture than, and she's also the best, in my opinion, the best part of Endgame. And Endgame's just lower than all these because there's no like thing there. But actually, I think Endgame might be better than Jojo Rabbit. But whatever.
That's a different discussion.
Yeah.
Alright, what else about Marriage Story?
I like Driver's amazing. He's the second coming of, I don't know what came first, but he's just great. And I keep thinking about his performance and the sort of, he has to go from this guy who says like, we're good, like we're breaking up, but it's gonna be fine, and then slowly you just see him just pull his hair out, just like slowly like becoming a monster he didn't even know he was, and that moment where he's looking at the clock and the lawyer, and the lawyer's going on about the story. It's like, am I paying for this story? He just seemed like, oh shit, it's becoming about money now.
Yeah, and I think that scene where he sings the songs.
The time song, yeah.
Yeah, that is just.
That's knockout.
Yeah.
That is
the clip that they play.
That is the top. I was thinking of the top 3 moments of the best actors. But that for me, he's probably. I think he does. Does he do better than Joaquin and Joker? I'd put that scene of him singing over a lot of Joker, because Joker is very physical. But there's not really even a transformation really in Joker. It's more just he's
always quirky.
Yeah.
He can never have
and he struts towards the end, I guess. But it's an indulgent movie, and it shows. It's a very showy performance. But that Adam Driver singing scene is a very physical scene, and the whole movie is very physical. Like it's kind of slapstick too when he dresses as the Invisible Man, and he's taking his kid out for the Halloween thing, and you just see his frustration that I feel sometimes, which is why I hope I'm never a dad, because I know I'll do that. I'll fumble around and like drag my kid around to places, like go from here to here and not really know, and the burger falls on the floor, and you're just like, what the fuck? And it's like, it felt so. It's very. All the small parts add up to a very real seeming performance. That even though our marriage story that we went through isn't very much like it at all, I could still see the frustration that we saw.
Of course,
is reflected in Adam very much.
And the performance from the other perspective between Scarlett and Laura. Brilliant. I love the way that they play off of each other. I love the way that Scarlett looks at Laura, and also the relationship that they form at the end, and then just the bitterness that Laura has from her past marriage, even though she's trying to help this person doing that 45-50 thing.
Yeah.
She's great in it, of course. She just played Renata again.
From Big Little Lies.
Yeah.
That 45-50 thing, it shows a lot of how humanity can inserts itself and seeps into systems that we believe are just and for the good of the people. But you see that lawyers have a personal stake at this. They want to get more, not just for their client, but for themselves, to satisfy some part of themselves. So that's a good part of the movie. The writing's really good.
And even what Laura says about when she's lecturing her, after she asks her about like questions like, have you drank, have you done drugs, she's like, the world expects the mother to be perfect, and if the father's decent, then he's great, because it's better than non-existent. I think that's where you really see the break in her character and the part that would fight for that 45-50.
Yeah. My one problem with that movie, though, is that ScarJo dresses as John Lennon at the end, and she is not John. She should have dressed as George Harrison, because she talks about feeling like George Harrison. So to become George Harrison and leave, because she felt like George Harrison's wife, is what she says in her first monologue. So you set up this whole thing, and when they bring up the Beatles costume, like, oh, she's gonna dress as George Harrison. It's gonna be so perfect. And this is the only reason why, like, it's great writing, Noah Baumbach and everything, but that's such a.
It can be. I mean, I guess she dressed as John just because she was the wife that broke.
No, they didn't think about it.
Really?
They didn't think about it, about the costumes. No.
Really?
Because you don't have a wife dressed as John. Because to dress as John is to say that you choose the wrong people. But she's happy she chose the right person, and she had an amicable breakup. The person should have been George. There's no doubt about it, because that's what the movie sets up.
Yeah.
The movie sets up that she's going to dress as George, and she doesn't dress as George. So fuck all.
What's your fourth? If you guys could see his hair right now.
Little Women.
Little Woman.
No, Irishman is my fourth.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That really hurt me for a second. Okay. Irishman. Just watched it. Legitimately, like 40 minutes ago. Why is it there for you?
Because it's a tough movie for me to watch, because it makes you wonder, like, where you're gonna, if the trajectory you're on is even worth it. Mm-hmm. And the movie sort of says that you won't know that until you're at the end. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the best thing you can do if you're on any trajectory is to die a little early. Because to die a little early is to save yourself from having to think, did I do the right things? Mm-hmm. To think, like, did killing those people add up to anything? Did me being good at my job add up to anything? Because now I'm just alone. The thing I worked hard to do didn't even help my family in any way. They just got scared of me. Mm-hmm. They didn't know how to talk to me, and I didn't know how to talk to them because...
Yeah. It's very much a movie that delves into this world of your head, basically, and, like, what you do in life, how it can really amount to nothing.
Yeah.
And, like, how invested you can be in something. Like, even while watching it, you put in 3 hours watching this whole family be built up and this whole empire be built. And
thing that you can make a map for, like you did.
Yeah, and I made a map while watching the movie. Mm-hmm. And then just it ending with him in the chair. He can't even get up by himself.
Yeah. The movie itself, just by duration, it challenges you. Just like, look at all this work you put into me.
Yeah. It is worth it, though.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it.
The performances are great. I think Joe Pesci should win.
Over Al.
Oh, yeah, over Al. I think Pesci's performance is better. I think Al's performance, falling for Al's performance is it's entertaining, mm-hmm. but it's what happens to Frank. He fell for Al's performance. Mm-hmm. It grabs you, but it's not...
It doesn't dig into you. It's not the thing that you follow through afterwards, because eventually you kill the owl, but...
It's not stable.
Yeah.
And also, like, I mean, Frank would have... If Frank had fallen into Al's lap, into Hoffa's lap before, mm-hmm. falling into Russell's, then he would have died sooner, mm-hmm. because the mob would have hit him first.
Of course, yeah.
But...
He had safety.
Yeah, Al Pacino, his perform, like, his whole career is, like, losing control of his
ability to be Michael
Corleone and be studious in craft, mm-hmm. and be what Russell was, which is very strategic, and he knows everything that's happening. And his acting, I feel, so much more mm-hmm. in those quiet moments when he just when he's insulted by Sebastian Maniscalco's character, the Gallo guy, mm-hmm. and the pin, and they just look at each other. Mm-hmm. He doesn't even have to say anything. Pacino's saying everything he's thinking, and that's the actor you choose for that. Yeah. Shorts. But this guy, he doesn't bring it up ever again, because mm-hmm. he's just as insulted by this guy making fun of the Italian civil rights thing mm-hmm. as Pacino is about the being late and the shorts and the little guy. But he doesn't say anything. He gets across every emotion that Pacino gets across, every anger, in just a look. Mm-hmm. He looks at Robert De Niro, and De Niro knows, I gotta kill him. Yeah. And then he go into that whole Taxi Driver thing where he's looking at all his guns and the references to his own work. To me, it's like, wow. So, just the self... It also goes with fucking what he did with the Dylan movie this year. His documentary that he made for Dylan, which is a lot of myth-making. And you could see Scorsese sort of take on the role Bob Dylan did for himself, which is just make himself a myth and make his work into almost like bigger than it actually is by self-referencing it, mm-hmm. and showing all the personas he's taken on through his work. Like, this was the shot from Casino, this is a shot from Taxi Driver, and now I'm at the end of the road, and I'm realizing that none of that mattered. And the violence, when your answer to everything is violence, that's the thing that Dana Stevens wrote in something, then you're left with somebody asking you why. Mm-hmm. And
even in the movie, the acknowledgement of woman, just like when he's talking to his daughter and he goes, well, you guys were happy, right? You guys were always fine. And then her just crying. And it's almost like this evolution of these movies like you watch. Sometimes you watch them with your dad. Mm-hmm. And it's just, they kind of ignore everything that's going on in the background.
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter as much because your life is on the line. But it's like she was broken, and Peggy's she's never going to be the same.
Yeah.
She was broken since she was a little girl. And it's like this acknowledgement of when he finally understands that his daughters weren't okay, it's just like almost like this entire genre of movies realizing that they were rejecting the people that they were supposedly rejecting,
working for
supposedly protecting,
killing for.
Yeah.
You realize that they were never really on their mind.
Yeah.
There's never a dinner scene really.
Like
The one time they're eating a meal, he just drops off the money and then goes.
Mm-hmm. Like the whole award sequence is so sad because nobody really cares. His daughters are kind of just there, and they're more excited about Hoffa than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see just like this guy that would be seen as a nobleman inside his community.
Yeah.
His own family doesn't think that.
No.
Like, and especially that since he has only daughters, it's like you have the daddy's little girl thing, and he's not a hero to them.
And that's the problem when your family doesn't care. Those are the ones, especially your kids. It's like the whole thing, like your kids gonna get you to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And Russell, I think, knew that. That's why he said your kids shouldn't be afraid of you, dude. Like, make a connection because in the end, I'm gonna die before them. Everyone else is gonna die before them. The only person you're gonna have to lean on for comfort, for guidance, and for forgiveness is them. But they're just gonna say, go to the next teller because they're not gonna.
He has to pick out his own casket.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad.
Yeah, that's what happens when you kill for family.
Yep. So.
But that relates back to like someone trying to do the right thing for their family and it just hurting it more. But what's your number 3?
So, my top 3, very complicated bunch. Love them all. Genuinely, second and third are placed there because of the amount of times I've watched each. And I don't know if they'll fluctuate, but right now my third is Little Woman.
Wow, that's my number 3 too.
Yeah.
That'd be higher for you.
I genuinely think it's probably going to be number 2. But because we've watched Once Upon a Time more times and the impact that it had on me when we watched it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why, what's up with Little Women?
But okay, Little Woman. I love that movie. Genuinely, I don't love it more than Once Upon a Time. Don't love it more than number 1. I do love it more. I love it as much as I love the other ones.
But what do you love about it?
Okay. Florence Pugh, her performance is brilliant. She's everything. Saoirse Ronan, she's great. Everything. Laura Dern, the supporting role that she should have gotten nominated for. The way that the movie... I don't genuinely cry in movies. But in this movie, I was bawling both times. And just I honestly might move it up already now that I'm talking about it. But the way that it is so available and the way that it's so representative of not only just being a girl, but being a younger sibling, having that relationship with your mom, having that relationship with yourself and this fear of being alone, and then also this thought of like, what is love and can I have it, should I have it, should I just be barren, and then this thing of like losing this beautiful childhood that's all brown and these nice beautiful colors, and then it just turning cold and then leaving and all that. Even after watching it, I couldn't talk for very long. It had the most lasting effect out of all of them. And yeah, it's just, I mean, they're on my wall. Everything about it, I love it.
I love it's my favorite dance scene of the year. It's better than the dance scene in Joker. Timothy and Saoirse, I think their chemistry is insane. I've been hearing some people talk about it. It's not like, it's crazy because it's very, I wonder if they'll ever actually, It's just sparks every time, and it's very unique, the type of relationship they have. I hope they keep making movies together.
The relationship between Saoirse and Greta is shining throughout the entire movie, and the relationship between Saoirse and Timothy is just, it drives it even more. It brings it more to life. It brings it off the paper even more. And just even the way Timothy is with the other girls, especially Beth. And Beth is such like a hidden gem in this whole thing. You see her slowly fall apart, and you see, even in the beginning, she doesn't have this hope in her eyes. She has a dream that she knows will never probably come true, but she's also the most realistic one, which makes it even sadder that she knows it won't come true, even though she's being realistic.
Her dream is the most attainable.
Yeah.
And yet it winds up being the only dream to not... Yeah, you're right. Yeah. That's very tragic.
And the way that when she is on screen, you can look past her so easily. But the second time I watched it, I was like, I want to see more of Elizabeth Scanlon's performance. Eliza, there we go. And the way that she looks at the other characters, the way that she is with Amy, almost this acknowledgement that Amy's a little bit crazy, but also the most realistic one.
Yeah.
The way that they are together is insane.
I like it's Greta's like directing. The first time I watched it, what got me thinking, okay, she should get this, is the scene between Laurie and Amy at the first party, where Laurie's like kind of drunk or whatever and being the playboy, and Amy's just, and there's just shots just like of him walking down the stairs, and all the people and all their like regal dresses for their nice fancy party. But then it's just continuing to think about it. It takes a lot for a director to be loved enough, not just by her stars, but her 4 stars, and all the peripheral characters. There's a world in each of them, and for an actor to want to give their director that much, like there's just endless amounts of, even the one-line people, the no-line people, you could feel like you could just follow them. He could write books about them.
Just the settings as well, the way that she places everyone, the way that she uses her locations, and the way that she uses even the way the camera is facing. And even Meryl Streep, who is barely in the movie, but it's like, in the end, you're like, yeah, Meryl Streep was in that.
You know what's interesting?
What?
I think Greta saved like Meryl Streep's performance. I think she probably hammed it up, like really intensely. And I think the way Greta makes the movie sort of keeps her. So I don't know, but I feel like Meryl was kind of like really doing something like kind of that could have ruined it, because she's kind of very caricature-y and very Miranda Priestley. And she's great in the movie, and you need her as a sort of counterbalance of like, all these women are fucking crazy, and there's just somebody marry somebody rich so you could get your shit together.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's kind of comical, in a way that doesn't quite mix well with the rest of the movie. But I think Greta harnessed Meryl more than Meryl harnessed herself in this one, which is something.
Why didn't she get the best director?
Oh yeah, I think this is very much like an actor's movie, and when it's an actor's movie, it's the director got the best they could out of their actors, and nobody told Greta. I mean, and the way she wrote it, which I think it should also get adapted to screenplay.
If it doesn't win.
Because mixing up the plot and matching, I was reading some stuff just like not doing it linearly, but doing the whole like Quentin Tarantino thing, which is not only shooting on film, but also letting the story reveal itself out of order. And you see that stories reveal more when major parts are put paralleled together as opposed to revealed over time, and then you parallel it together in your mind later on, which I was thinking about, like in Irishman. I did find it sort of haunting when he leaves his door open, because I thought, oh, is that him asking for help, or is that him just doing what he saw Hoffa do? Another leader who left his door just a smidge open. Is he really just like asking for forgiveness, or asking for somebody to come in and try to pry remorse out of him, or is he just following the lead again? But that's something that you don't notice till afterwards. And yeah, it's good to rewatch a movie, but this one actually gives you those moments of like, oh shit, that you only get upon reflection, but you get it in the moment. Because that scene of the montage cutting back and forth between healthy Beth getting healthy and Beth trying to get healthy and then not. And yeah, I think Laura Dern just breaking down that puts her above anything she did in Marriage Story.
The way that people, even just watching Friends growing up, anyone my age, most people my age have watched Friends just because it was on Netflix. They knew that Beth died. And so many people that I've asked, they didn't expect Beth to die in this movie. And they thought she wasn't going to die. A lot of people thought that the movie was going to end after they hug, when their dad comes home. And just both times, but especially the second time I watched it, the theater was a little more empty. It was more of a personal experience. It's just, I was prepared for it. I cried when it started. But when Beth died, you could feel this weight just get so heavy with everyone in the theater, and it felt like everyone was just in it. And you could hear people sniffling, and like, because you could also hear the people laughing throughout the entire beginning, and like you could feel people smiling and like all of that, and just enjoying this. And then when Beth dies and everything starts really falling apart, just everything comes out, and especially how Joe gets up from the bed, or from the chair and walks downstairs, and then the way Laura grabs at her, and genuinely Laura's hand, like that gives her the Oscar nom for me. And then just that scene when Laurie tells Joe that he loves her, and Joe doesn't say anything. Good Lord.
I'll say that
messed me up.
It's kind of the same. The way Laura Dern breaks down to Saoirse is what Taika was asking out of the kid. Like, hold somebody like that, literally like at somebody's feet and breaking down. Can't ask a kid to do what Laura Dern had to learn, has a whole career to learn how to do.
I watched, someone sent me a video today on Twitter of a whole orchestra singing a Laura Dern song. I don't know if you saw the video. I think it was at the awards today. And it's like, you can't ask this kid to do what Laura Dern did and have like this whole orchestra be singing only Laura Dern over and over again.
Yeah.
But good Lord, Laura Dern is so, the way she opens the door, we both gasped the first time we watched it when she opened the door, because it's like, this cast is freaking crazy.
Yeah, it's just reveal upon reveal.
And then even the casting, the way that it relates to reality with each of them. Joe kind of taking over, becoming this big person. Saoirse Ronan taking over, becoming this big person in acting, in movies, in cinema. And Timothy, always just kind of this heartthrob. Kind of messes up, kind of is good, kind of does some dumb stuff, but is still talented. Florence taking over. She's both dipping her toe into places that she doesn't want to be in, but she's also this ability to come into these roles like Amy. And then Emma Watson, who completely left the acting game. She did Beauty and the Beast, she did some little stuff, but her thing was like Harry Potter. And like in the movie, she gets married, she kind of has her own life, and she comes back in
like,
with that.
It's like Joe begging her to be an actress.
Yeah. It's just so reflect. And then Meryl kind of giving it away, because Meryl's getting old.
Yeah.
Meryl maybe has one more Oscar in her. And then Laura just being everyone's mom.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's good. I think it's the best. Like, it's it's the obvious thing to do to make Laura a mom, but to harness that type of energy and it's just smart. It's smart filmmaking. I like Timothy a lot too, when he's standing, which I guess was his choice, just to stand and just looking out, and then the way he says, "There's a girl," like it's just, oh my god.
And then freaking Florence going, "My hand." She's so good, and the way that she flips the book open and she's like, "Wow."
Yeah,
brilliant.
Her stuff is great,
and even her posture, the way it changed, it already moved up on my list if you couldn't tell. The way that her posture changes when she's playing her younger self. She's slumped over. She's kind of sporadic. Doesn't have much control of her limbs, and then only when she sees Laurie is when she reverts back to that. But aside from them, and aside from when she's not angry at Laurie when she's older, she's completely straight up. She looks like she's wearing a corset. She walks properly. She holds her head much higher, and her face even changes somehow. And I don't think it's makeup necessarily. It's just the way that her smile is being held, and it's just these slight physical changes that just make it so
she has the best performance in the movie.
Yeah.
And that scene after when Laurie proposes and he's like, "No, I will not play second fiddle. You can't do this to me." And that's the whole idea. You just the word, she's saying all these words, but all you can hear is that "you can't do this to me."
Yeah.
And just her lips pouting the way they do and everything.
And this whole idea, her ability to really capture the younger siblingness of it all, and being so dramatic as a kid, and then being the most real when you're getting older.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
And I love that scene in her paintings, and saying that, "I will not say it, settle for mediocrity." Yeah, that's fantastic.
Oh man.
And yeah, and Timothy, just from the outside looking in, that sort of cipher for any. I think this movie is the closest one to like what I felt from Knives Out. Knives Out was kind of like, I was Laurie, and Knives Out was the little woman family that I wish I could join. Like, everything's so happy, the house is so warm, and that just, he plays that very well, just him sort of longing, and you realize why he wants to be with Joe, and why he just likes the March sisters in general, just like, because they're just so supportive of each other. And that scene when they're all falling on top of each other after they come back from the party and trying to help Emma Watson in her leg.
My ankle.
Yeah, it's very
oh my god. And
what does she say?
I have small feet, and my ankles will never. She makes a foot mold for him.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and the little slippers Beth gives, and Beth playing the piano. Every time there's a piano scene, something.
Yeah, and Saoirse's very good, but she did the best she can for the movie, and everybody's just working great.
Yeah, I think Saoirse made it. She helped. She was assistant director.
Yeah.
And you could feel it in the movie. She lifted everyone else. Little Woman's not my second.
I like her piano thing too. Like after Beth dies and she writes for Beth, it looks like she's at a piano when she writes. It's fantastic stuff. Fantastic framing.
And the beach.
The beach.
And oh my god, it's my will. When Beth is like, it's God's will. This is what's gonna happen. The tide's gonna go out.
Shit, yeah.
And then Joe's like, no, it's my will.
Yeah.
What Joe wills will do.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I almost started crying during that conversation.
That's a great movie. Greta should have been nominated.
Greta needs to win adapted screenplay.
Maybe she will.
I just
I wouldn't get my hopes up.
I know, I just need it.
But it's shocking because what was your reaction when you heard Little Woman was her next project?
I was so excited.
I was the opposite. I was like, really? Period piece?
Because I think I had so much faith in her just from Frances Ha and Lady Bird. Even at the time when I heard they were both on my wall.
I definitely didn't think it'd be something she could pull off like this.
Really?
I didn't know, like, because her energy doesn't mesh with like corsets and prim dresses.
That's why I was so excited, because it's like, oh my god, I don't have to watch another fucking favorite. I can watch because like Favorites was a comedy, but like it's still very professional and all.
Yeah.
And like I could actually delve into this emotion. I was so excited for it.
I think I was worried
breakdowns.
she was trying to go for prestige and trying to move up, but no, she brought the prestige
Greta.
down to her.
Yeah, Greta wouldn't film on digital. She's not gonna make other people. She's not gonna go up to other people. She's gonna make people adjust her. That's why she shoots on film.
Yeah.
Anyway.
She's great. She's just as cocky too as Quentin.
I love the conversations. I love all of her interviews. I love the way she talks about Quentin. Which leads us into our next movie.
Not for me.
It's mine next movie.
My number 2 is Parasite. Your number 2 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
My number 2 is now Little Woman. I think Little Woman is now my number 1. And
Okay, so Parasite's your number 3. Now.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Parasite.
Switched. Yeah. Everything switched.
Parasite is. I think it's really. It's the. It's as masterful as Irishman. It is as masterful as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I think it's the most entertaining consistently throughout. It's the most like pop culture. It's the most pop song of our top 4, I think.
Yes.
Because they all sort of ask something of you. They ask attention of you. This one gives you fucking everything.
The reason why it was originally so far up on my list was, or number 1 originally, was because I genuinely could not see anything wrong with it.
It does not demand any patience.
Yeah, there is no flaw, but I realize now that I was so invested in it because it does give you everything. And like Little Woman does ask you for stuff. It asks you to sit through this scene. Like, give me a second.
Yeah.
And then it explodes.
Yeah.
And like Parasite still explodes. It still gives off the same thing. It still made me cry.
Yeah.
But it's so perfect. I do want it to win Best Picture.
It is the best picture, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Possibly of the decade. There's nothing wrong with it.
It's beautiful. I love that you can't say that the women were in anything in the movie, because they were so important and they were the most put together in the movie. And then this ability to look into a father's perspective is just, I think, was so massively important, especially now, especially at this age.
I think the mom was snubbed.
Yes.
But I also think people are looking over the maid, who basically plays 2 characters.
Yeah. Jeez, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Like her breakdown. I think that movie, though, I mean, we talked about it with the one we did earlier, like this poverty genetic, which is still like the thing I get most out of it. But I think like thinking about it more, like like Jessica's sort of her tragedy and her inability to escape, even though she has all the talent to. It's like Joe not writing, or not like trying to get her writing out there, you know, and just using it for like, it's almost like Beth in a way, where I guess she's kind of talented, but she won't like apply to anything. But at least Beth has a family that will still try to support her through that. This family is they support each other, but their support for each other keeps them down.
Yeah.
And the commentary on class is amazing. It's amazing that commentary on class from South Korea is also very much prevalent in the USA. I think Bong Joon-ho is an amazing, just like personality too.
Oh my gosh, he is creating waves.
His interviews are great. But someone mentioned, I think it was like Justin Chang, I think he said about the concern and the reason why he might not win Best Director is that people, it sounds harsh, but like it's a good observation. It's something I've sort of had in the back of my head, thinking like, okay, Hollywood, what do you really think though? Are you just clapping for the chubby Korean man who looks happy for his cast, or do you actually respect him? Are you just sort of like, it's kind of like the Greta thing, where she talked about the Golden Globes and people like coming over and saying, "Oh, I wanted you to get. I voted for you." Like, oh, I wasn't nominated, so who actually voted for me?
Right.
Like, yeah, you're all like applauding for me, but you're all applauding for the SAG people when the cast won for best cast at SAG, but they didn't nominate the guy who played the dad, the parasite. So yeah, I want it to win. I hope it wins Best Picture and Best Director. Best Original Screenplay, even it's in the argument it might actually win. But yeah, I think it's thrilling, it's haunting, it's thought-provoking.
Yeah, and even afterwards, I think why 1917 is so low is because we watched it the day after we watched Parasite, or I watched it the first time, and since then it comes up in conversations for me every day, and like that usually doesn't happen. With Little Women, it's more of a personal thing, and it comes up frequently, but just the way I slip in ideas from Parasite just naturally.
Yeah.
And there are times where I'm just like laying in bed and I start thinking about it, even in class. Like I'm in a lot of classes that have to do with like how society works, and I just connected to it. Yeah, and it is such a great movie. I understand why I put it where it was originally on my list.
I'm some of the scenes too, the images sticking. Like there are images in Little Women that definitely are there for me. Timothy and Saoirse on the Hill during their breakup, for a relationship that never started.
Jeez, I have watched. Yeah.
And Timothy with his poofy but this one, there's the man with the bread going up the stairs. Just like you realize why that kid was traumatized. Okay, there's this other thing that I heard where Bong Joon-ho, he described like what ramdon is, the meal that they're making. It's ramen noodles and udon noodles, which are very easy to get. They're not upper class. And he talks about to add steak in that is to try to make it upper class. As the family trying to keep the kid who asked for ramdon or whatever it's called, and trying to, but he can't just have that though. He's still one of us. And I think like him being exposed to that parasite is, it's just like the walls breaking down and him realizing that he's not, that how fucked up it all is. Really,
like he realizes how fucked up his dad is. And I think that's just like, I genuinely think that he knows what's the English name that they give her? Jessica. I genuinely think that he knows that Jessica is not this person.
I don't think he knows, but he has an idea. Yeah. And he doesn't know how to bring that out.
But I think he's expressing it by listening to her. Yeah. And like he knows that he's playing with his mom, and like that's just his goal, and then his sister being so clueless about it. Yeah. Well,
that's the thing. Apparently, there was not an upstairs in the movie, so they built the stairs or they had the staircase, but there wasn't like bedrooms up there or something like that. But just that detail, the production design is like insane. That they kind of built the house from scratch, and it's meant to mimic like modern houses where like the isolated kitchen, everything looks nice. Yeah. Someone did a piece on like architecture and the best pictures, and that sort of detail was really cool. And you sort of see like that design that you want to live in, and then it just gets bloody, which I think is something that Irishman suffers from. That I hear of, like, I hear you paint houses. Seeing the house get dirty in Parasite is the way you kind of want to see a house get dirty in Irishman. Right. Where I think a single setting in Irishman would have helped, I think, building up to that house where he actually shoots Hoffa, and you see, like, you get acclimated to it, like, maybe, and then you see the blood on it, then that would have been really impactful.
I would agree with that, but would it be effective in the message? And also, they could have pulled it off if they did something in the restaurant, because I think the restaurant is the home throughout the movie. And like if they had something happen there, like maybe Hoffa was killed there instead of the house, but I would have having one hard setting and effective with it, because it is a common
that's the risk of a sprawling epic. That it's hard to have a singular setting to have things go down in. But when we get to Once Upon a Time, you realize how quickly you can make a setting, even though you're not going to be there for a while. It feels like fucking home.
So moving on to my number 2 and your number 1.
Well, I don't think I was done with my Parasite point.
Oh, continue with your
Okay,
Parasite
the
point.
kids though. So you have 3 layers. You have the bottom, and then where the parasites are, and you have the middle, but where the parents are, because you never see the parents' bedroom. And I think there's a thing where you see the son's bedroom and the daughter's bedroom, because they're actually up top. So it's like, it's sort of like the distance between them and parasitedom is very for, you realize like him seeing that is like him falling down those flight of stairs, and him, like, I think the parents sort of have an idea, or at least the mom's clueless, but Mr. Park, like, he knows that him being in the position he's in requires people to be below him, where the kid doesn't know. The kids don't know that. So the sister is just oblivious. Like, she's like, he's not smart, and the kid is like, he knows something, but he can't quite communicate it. But yeah, and I think him wanting to be like in the teepee, the parents interpret him wanting to be a cowboy and kill the Indians. But he wants to be in he's shooting arrows. Like, he wants to be the Indian. He wants to be a native. He wants to eat ramdon. He kind of wants to.
Yeah, he keeps looking up at the sky because he wants something to be above him.
Yeah. He's naturally. I think he might be a parasite born into an upper class family, possibly, and just like, what's gonna happen with that?
Yeah.
But yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is my number 1.
My number 2.
Watched it 3 times. I tell people I spent 9 hours with that movie.
It was, though, that we watched that movie the summer before I left LA for the first time, and I think it was perfect for that, because it is Hollywood. It is. We were able to go to so many places that were in it, and it brought something out of me, and I think you as well, the way that we speak to each other as well. And then I just want to bring up just Margot Robbie.
Sunshine.
Yeah.
I think she made Quentin like a better director even. Like, he's about to have a kid, and I think doing what he did with Margot, and Margot sort of giving that performance to him, will do more than the kid will. Because honestly, like, her performance, like, to be such a, it's like you see all these like Tarantino movies, blood, gore, gangsters, and quick dialogue, and masculine, and it's all I've always used this analogy forever, but it's I Want You, She's So Heavy, and then Here Comes the Sun, which is just Margot Robbie just like
dancing,
and
she expresses so much by dancing. The way she walks into a room, it's completely different, and she says so much about what year it is, what decade it is, who she is, and why she is, just by walking into a room. The power, and to not having that many words, people will like use it against her, but it's like, it just, look at how well she did.
To have that much faith in an actress,
like, to have the fact that she didn't have any words, but people are still talking about her performance, and also she's on a lot of the posters, like the only person on the posters.
Yeah, because it's almost like Sharon Tate, like someone that was cut short, didn't have many words to say in her movies or in her life, but still she was like the symbol of it, the symbol of what was lost. And Margot Robbie is just giving us like, well, here's a little bit of it, and here's what happens if it keeps going. We talked about shots and like the Jojo Rabbit scene needing to be farther away. Irishman, I think just the distance between the deaths and us, and not closing up on Robert De Niro and stuff, which I think is a message, because it's Robert De Niro telling the narration, and he's kind of a sociopath, so he won't feel emotion, so he wants distance from it. And I think that's effective, because it makes you feel it more, because you almost feel like, I want to connect to it.
Yeah.
But you can't. Same with the Parasite, the distance between the camera and the father and the son hugging, where it's like, wouldn't it be so nice if this happened? But you're still reaching.
Yeah.
You still want that close up of the son and the dad maybe crying as he hug his dad. But the reason there's distance is because it hasn't happened, and we don't know if it'll happen. So
and it's only close up when he kills.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Fuck yes. That guy. His acting is so amazing. And then with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I'm only bringing it up just to talk through it because I don't know what it means. Well, I guess now I do. The distance, the final shot, the swooping in over the house, which Quentin said like that was, he dreamt that shot and he had it in his head for a decade or something. But you see pregnant Sharon and all the other people, the would-be victims, come out to hug. I'm calling it Dekatu, but he's not Dekatu. What's his name in the movie? Leo's name. I forget his name. Dalton, yeah. To hug Rick. Yeah. To hug the person that saved the night, that saved the 60s in this. Well, not really. The guy who stuck guy saved the 60s or whatever. The distance, and then it says Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, ... and to see that down there, it's just like, yeah, it's Once Upon a Time. It's what opens up a fairy tale. And a fairy tale, it's kind of like a camera being far away, because it's like, oh, look how magical it is, but it's just always just out of reach, because it's Once Upon a Time. It's not in your time. It's not reality. So yeah, and distance shot, that's a theme within our best picture things. It's wanting, just reaching out for this sort of thing that it's almost, if only. That's what these movies leave you thinking. If only.
And also going along with like things that we kind of have in our top 3 setting. In Little Woman you have the house.
Yeah.
In Parasite you have the house. In Once Upon a Time you have the house. Yeah. And then literally all of Hollywood.
He makes everywhere feel so alive.
Yeah.
What Greta does with people, Quentin does arguably with people, but also with locations.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Greta too, but the location, it's more, because he grew up in Hollywood.
Yeah, you could feel it. Especially being an LA native and like actually growing, like walking there when I was like 6 and like looking at the way that he frames it, it felt like I was 6 again, looking at Hollywood and looking at all these lights and like the restaurant
and even the freeways.
Like, I was like, I take that exit.
There's a lot of traffic in LA, but I tend to drive when there's no traffic, and which is how Rick and Cliff is able to drive, blasting his music, one arm on the wheel, with Hollywood there, either going to and fro. That's just, it fits perfectly. Like, and you see all the neon lights. And
even the performances from the smaller roles, like Margaret Qualley, Sydney Sweeney, Dakota Fanning. Wow, I forgot that. The way that they add so much into it too, because it's like at a dry point in the movie, like a part of the movie that you would probably get bored in. It's such a long movie. They bring it in, they reel it in. Yeah, and the way they play off of Brad is just good. And
Brad, who is just, maybe maybe for me, is it the best performance of the year? Because he does everything, like he's playing off himself, his own persona, but also playing this character perfectly. Him on the roof is just transcendent. Him, like his when he gets all loopy and he laughs at at Tex, I'm the devil.
Oh my gosh.
No, something stupider than that. Yeah, him on acid and him just, but the whole scene, which is just only a movie star can do that. Can make so much silence work when he drives off and then he goes into his trailer and he has Brandy and he's just working, that whole the dog food and everything. And that stuff. It's and not talking, and all he says is like, when he's looking at his TV, and you just feel like this guy.
Oh man, he is great.
And you want him to be your buddy. And that other than the buddy aspect of the movie, of Whereas I believe Parasite tears down masculinity in the same way Joker sort of doesn't tear it down but brings it up, but using the same message, which is like a part of masculinity is it's almost like being a stupid dad and not knowing what to do and not having a plan.
And Marriage Story, yeah.
Marriage Story too. There's a tragedy in that, but there's also a stupidity in that can get annoying. The whole man boy thing. Irishman also tries to bring down, I think, masculinity in the way that it's saying like, what's the point of all the aggression and everything? But it's still sad and somber at the end. It's almost as if it wishes it worked.
Yeah.
It wishes the aggression worked. Ooh. Yeah, it's not a dirge. It's a funeral. It's a eulogy. That damn it. I wish killing people worked.
Yeah.
But once upon a time, it's two guys. Friendship works.
Yeah.
You know, they're buddies. They hug each other. They happen to be violent, but yeah, they cry. They support each other. Cliff, the way he's just like when he's talking to him at the Italian restaurant, like. Or even after, like, when Rick's like, I gotta make Italian movies, he's like, you're Rick fucking Dalton, don't you forget it.
Oh, man.
Just the support they have for each other. And when he hugs him, when they're about to leave, when he leaves to go to his trailer, but, like, yeah, like, I'll pick you up at 8. Like, yeah, I'll be here at 8. And as he's carted off, and I go sleep with that pretty wife of yours, and... you just feel like such love between them. It's the best love story of 2019 of the Oscars.
This is love. Yeah, I think there's nothing more beautiful than the love of friendship, and Little Woman murdering that with having Lori fall in love with Joe is like, that's where it ends. But when they're friends, they're together, even watching it the second time, knowing that they won't end up together. It is just so nice to watch a friendship, and it's like this love that you can't get over. And then you watch Rick, where you watch Leo and Brad. It's so fun to be in that, and also to just feel like a bro. And like, a lot of people are like, it's just two guys, it's just a bro movie. No, when I'm with my gals, I hug them. I act the same way. I drive with one hand. I drive my friends around. I love being their Cliff. I will lift them up.
Yeah.
And it's just dudes tapping into that aspect of woman, of this naturally seen kind of woman friendship.
It just shows that friendship is the true friendship, and it's universal.
Yeah.
When you actually allow yourself to be somebody's friend. And
it's not just women, guys.
Yeah.
And like, I think it was I thought about the movie and their relationship in class the other day, because a girl was talking about how it's kind of like a social norm for girls to go to the bathroom together when they're out together. And a guy was like, nah, man, sometimes I ask my bros to come with me because I get scared, you know? I'm like, yeah, that's like what Rick and Cliff would do.
Yeah. And you just got it. The ability to connect in that way is beautiful. And I think even you feel it amongst, I think, Quentin in the same way. The way Greta made her cast feel comfortable enough to do all that is the same thing. He was a stuntman he was a Cliff to the movie. Like, he was letting the movie sort of become this thing where it was sort of not, I think maybe what even he was used to. But yeah, he sort of just let it breathe. He hugged it. And I think comparing the one thing that I noticed in what I just said was all fluff to get to this part, because I forgot what I was going to say, but now I remember. I would, because of the way they hug each other and they embrace each other and they talk to each other, communicate, and support each other when they're sitting and watching Rick on TV, and fuck, it's so fucking cool. And he says, "Oh, that's a good shot." Like, oh no, he's just like hyping. He's this hype man, you know? He's like, yeah, I got this.
That's my bro, you know?
Yeah. And he's so excited for him when he gets his roles. And that's sort of... And what do they say? Like, they're going to drink, you know, because when two guys know it's the end, they're going to drink their goodbye. So they know they've hit the end of the road. and it's sad, but all that friendship, it'd wreck me if Cliff killed Rick or Rick killed Cliff.
Mm-hmm.
The hug in Irishman between De Niro and Al,
Mm-hmm.
there's still a part of them that does not know how to hug men.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed, I tried to ignore it the first time, but this time I just couldn't, like, it's awkward.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work quite right.
Mm-hmm.
Partly probably just because their bodies are old, they don't know how to do it. But, yeah, but also it's just the love isn't there.
Yeah.
And I think asking them to break that physical boundary, I think for Al Pacino and Robert De Niro to have trouble doing that shows how troubling it is, how tough it is.
Mm-hmm.
when it's something to tell, like, your friend or you're an actor, or even in real life, like, you have friends. I've had friends where it's like, yeah, we're friends, but then once it gets to the point where we have to hug or something, then you realize how close you aren't.
Yeah, I think the ability in friendship, I was actually having this conversation the other day, the ability in friendship to be able to, like, genuinely hug someone from joy. I think just, like, graduating, seeing these people that I was surrounded with that I called my best friends, the way I could only hug, like, 2 of them genuinely, and, like, feel it.
Yeah.
It is very telling, and, like, you know that Brad and Leo were, like, kicking it off set.
Yeah.
And you also know that they're such great actors because they were kicking it off set.
Yeah. Couple goals, honestly, is that movie.
I love them.
Yeah.
It has my favorite murder scene of the year. Love Parasite. Love Irishman, all of them.
Yeah.
Love a good Beth death.
Yeah. What was it? Measles murdered her? What did she have?
It was yellow. No, it wasn't yellow fever. Was it? I don't know.
No.
Something.
I feel like measles is such a posh disease. That's what we're always up to.
Measles.
Yeah.
But that whole sequence, we actually went there to the street and, like,
Cielo.
Yeah, Cielo
Yeah,
Drive.
who else went there?
Who?
Margot. When she first, like, before acting, but when she first got to Hollywood, she did the whole pilgrimage and everything. She said she walked up there with her friend at night, and read Helter Skelter, a book by flashlight.
Do that.
Yeah. But yeah.
So anyway, we parked where
Right.
they parked.
Yeah.
And also Maya Hawke throwing her in there, being like, "This is your new one. This is where Quentin is going now."
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
She runs away.
It's true.
Maybe she's running away from Quentin, but
I mean, she also runs towards Hollywood.
that's true.
She
too.
runs away from the constraint of people like Manson.
That's
true.
true.
The people that kill Hollywood.
Yeah.
She runs away from
Oh,
them,
yeah.
and she runs towards Quentin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, thanks Quentin for bringing us Maya.
Yeah.
Thanks Uma for bringing us. And just Austin Butler, and then the other two.
Yeah. Sexy Sadie and the redhead.
Yeah. The first time I watched it, the amount of excitement that I felt, because as I started walking, everything that I had read about Manson in the past clicked, and I was, like, sweating, and I was, like, shaking. I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna happen, something great's gonna happen. And, like, they get into the house and, like, clip starts, and oh my god, that sequence was everything.
Yeah.
I was smiling the whole time, which is the most morbid thing to say, but I was smiling the whole time the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
Second time I watched it, smiling as well. The third time I watched it, I was crying because I was like, oh my god, they're saving Hollywood.
Yeah.
And, like, that just leading to the end is so great. The first time I watched it, I didn't really cry. The second time I did cry because at the ending, just because it's like, wow.
If only, you know.
Yeah.
For me, it's the equivalent of just, like, there's my favorite Beatles song is Her Majesty, which I can recite. Her Majesty is a pretty nice girl, but she doesn't have a lot to say. Day to day, I want to tell her that I love her a lot, but I got a belly full of wine. Majesty, pretty nice. But that line always gets me. I want to tell her that I love her a lot, but I got a belly full of wine. It's just, it's the distance of like, I love this movie. It's happy. It's not a sad ending or anything, but it's just the tears you get of like,
it didn't happen. And
I get to like, I don't know. Yeah, it's something when a happy song gets you.
Yeah.
And this movie it's that fantasy. It just knocks me out just thinking about the idea of the 60s and it all working out.
And also, it's almost like Quentin is saying that if all of this didn't happen, if this ending to the 60s didn't happen, then there would be friendships like Cliff and Rick between men. And they would still be prevalent now, and they wouldn't be such a hard thing to achieve.
Yeah.
And it also says that didn't happen either. It said once upon a time this did happen, but not in our world.
Yeah.
And that's just so sad.
Yeah. And honestly, for me, it casts like a bit of a not a shadow, but whatever. It informs the ending of Inglourious Bastards in a way where it makes it sadder. Like you always get like a satisfaction from seeing what he let Jewish people do to Hitler in that movie, which is just like kill him, and with thousands of bullets, which is like great. It's revenge porn, but this one shows me it's not really revenge porn. It's just wishful thinking.
Yeah.
It's like it's asking what if and giving you the what if, but then still saying once upon a time, and it makes it happy, but also it adds a tinge of sadness to Inglourious Bastards for me, because like, but it didn't happen, just like it didn't happen in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and just like in Django Unchained, slavery isn't redeemed really in that way. So it just adds a tinge, like it makes them more mature for me. Like this movie, just like, oh, this is what you were trying to do. Yeah, it's not revisionist or like this power move. Yeah. It's just like aged wine. It's like wishing, just like, and it reveals how human he's been. He just wants people to live.
And also just the ability that he has to be able to draw that emotion without like using wands and magic and superpowers. Because like after watching Harry Potter, it gets sad that I wasn't in that world. Like, where's my Hogwarts letter, you know? But for this one, it's like, I live in LA. I grew up here. It could have been like this. It could have been like the way I saw it when I was 6. And it just isn't. And like the way guys are, because growing up I was friends with a lot of guys, and I got used to just not having any kind of physical connection, just because that's weird. But like this movie is like, if this happened, if this Once Upon a Time was reality, then like we could have grown up just like hugging my bros, and like they could have grown up hugging their bros, you know.
It's a great movie. Hey, fucking whiskey sours. See, damn, fantastic.
I wanted it to win Best Original Screenplay.
Could. Right now it seems like it's Parasite, and then right underneath it is Once Upon a Time. So maybe.
I do want it to win, just because I want Parasite to win Director and Best Picture. It won't, but that's a wish. If
Leo hadn't won for Revenant, I think he'd be way more in the running for this one. Because I think his performance is insanely good.
He breaks down everything. I told you this the other day. People, after watching Revenant, were like, it's his most emotional breakdown performance ever. Nah, man, he cries and hugs a dude in this movie. He hugs Brad Pitt.
Not only that, he like walks around in this little robe and he's showing a lot of leg, and
he screams at himself in the mirror.
He's drinking 8 whiskey sours, putting the egg. He shows like his most egotistical parts of himself with all the posters and everything, but also his most like bare bone memorizing lines, like on a pool, just him with it. Like, you've never seen that before, especially from this type of caliber actor, to sort of like reveal that part, to be that vulnerable. And he's so imperfect in the whole movie, and from the beginning, just him walking out. I don't want to go, dude, fucking Italian movies, and just him in the car, just like punching it. It's a fantastic performance. It's probably one of my top Leo performances, top Pip performances, top Tarantino movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should win Best Picture. No, Parasite should win Best Picture, but I wish this one would win just because I think, and the mentality about it winning right now is that Tarantino's got one more left supposedly,
Mm-hmm.
And who knows if it's this good.
Come back.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Anything else? Those are all the Best Picture ones.
Yeah. So we want everything that we want basically won't happen, except for Brad.
Mm-hmm. It'll be cool to hear Laura's speech.
Yeah, love good Laura speech. Joaquin probably will make a good speech.
Yeah. Hopefully Quentin gets on stage. It's possible he won't, but hopefully.
Really hope he does.
Bong will say some good shit.
I want to see that Greta holding that trophy, but if not, then at least Taika's going up.
Yeah,
maybe he'll say something
good movie, but
funny.
Yeah, well, he'll be great. He'll be funny. We'll see how the second year without a host does, but yeah, should be a fun show.
Well, hey Billie Eilish.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for taking over 2019.
All right, that's it. Bye.